Hey, good morning. Good morning, everybody. Does everybody have their coffee yet? Hello, Japan. Good morning. Holy shit, it's all over now? Hey, so I heard on Twitter that Trump agreed to release his medical records. Oh, you bought that book? Yeah, I hope that works out for you. Why am I not on every network today? Oh, really? He's going to do it on Dr. Oz? Oh my God, that's just so perfect. One of the things about being my age and having done as many things as I've done at this point is that sometimes you can just feel the future, because it looks like the universe is just lining up in one direction. And the universe is definitely lining up behind Trump right now. Hello, Portugal. You rock princess. Yeah, this is the best election ever. I wasn't alive during, Lincoln's time or anything, but I feel like I can say with some confidence, even so, that this is going to be the best election of all time. The body double. Yeah, some people are saying that Hillary sent a body double out to wave to the crowd. I haven't heard the video. Wasn't the body double talking? I don't think that the video is ever shown on the news, but there was a big crowd of people who know her personally, the press. So if she's talking and waving to them from 20 feet away, it's not a body double. Can Hillary recover from this? No, it's all over. If you saw me, those of you who saw me yesterday talk about it, it's not just that she collapsed. It's not just that she collapsed on camera. And it's not even maybe just that she should have told us sooner, although that alone would kill her. It's where it happened. The symbol of the nation's fears about terrorism. On the day of the anniversary, if you collapse there, it's all over. Journalists have been destroyed over this. Destroyed in what way? The odds have only moderately turned toward Trump. Yeah, I think the betting markets are not as predictive as you think, meaning that they're actually in a wait-and-see mode right now. They're waiting to see what the media says about this, what more information comes out. But fast forward to the end of this week, or even just Wednesday night, and imagine that Trump has released his medical records. Because of his age, there's a few interesting things in there, I'm sure, but nothing of importance. Otherwise, he wouldn't be doing it. And then imagine that Clinton doesn't. I mean, that's about as over as it can be, right? What about Dr. Drew's career? I don't know that he was really fired for that. Somebody on one of my periscopes said they had an insider at CNN and on his show, I guess, and he was planning to leave. So it looked like he was fired for saying stuff he did, but probably not. Tax returns. I think Trump should not release his tax returns because it can create more things as a politician, right? As a citizen, frankly, I don't care about either of their tax returns. Because if the IRS is happy, I'm happy. I mean, if the IRS is happy It just means that he's playing by the same rules that we are. Now, if he's playing by the same rules that we are and winning better, meaning he got away with more deductions or something, how do I hold that against him? You know, it would be one thing if he was playing by different rules, but if he plays by the same rules that you and I are playing by, and he gets away with some outrageous stuff on his tax returns, it kind of looks like winning. All right, he didn't make the rules, and if he didn't break the rules, he played by the rules. And that's the beginning and the end of the story there, right, on taxes. The only thing the country asks you to do is pay according to the rules. They're not asking you to do more than that, all right? So if we have an expert who's looking, experts, the IRS, and the audit, looking to see if he followed the rules, and, typically, by the way, typically in a return that complicated, the IRS will always find some things to reverse. So there's no chance of nothing. But typically they're pay a little fine here, give back a little money there, just some puts and takes. So charitable contributions, I assume it would show that he has far fewer charitable contributions than he's claimed. How would that be? Like some kind of new news or something? My Judgy Bubble blog post. Oh, good, you liked it. This morning, the poll said Hillary's 10 points ahead. I think the polls that are coming out this week will not yet incorporate this latest event. Several of her campaign staff are sick with the same thing. Yeah, no one has done a completely truthful complex form. No, I don't think he'll be blowing up the world. What if she does make it to November? Well, she won't win. People magazine, huh? Same poll has likely voters on 4% difference. What's the deal with Putin? I think the deal with Putin is he might make a reasonably good friend, an ally, but he'd be a terrible enemy. So you can't really compare the friend he might be, meaning the things he could help us with, to some ideal state. There are probably only two choices. He's a flawed friend, or he's the worst fucking enemy you've ever had. It's kind of those two choices, right? Yeah, I think I don't see a reason that Russia needs to be our natural ally. We don't share a border, and their biggest interest happens to be our biggest interest right now, getting rid of the instability of radical Islam. They oversampled Democrats. Yeah, we should totally have a good relationship with Russia if we can. I mean, if you look at our history with Russia, what's the most important thing that the United States and Russia interacted with at the same time? It was winning World War II. Everything else is just bullshit. So if the only thing in your national consciousness that people can sort of go to subconsciously is that time you fought together on the same side and won, it's just really hard for me to imagine that Russia is our enemy. Yeah. Oh, you think it's just a distraction from the leaks? Major earthquake coming. I don't think that's something people can predict. Oh yeah, you need a bogeyman to sell a lot of F-35s. So Merkel's our enemy? No, I don't think so. Will Assange stick the knife in sooner? I say Assange has nothing. That's my prediction. I also think he thinks he has something, meaning that he's probably seen what he has. The Mark Cuban Missile Crisis. There's something funny about that. So Assange knows what he has by now, and I think he might think it's a bigger deal than we're going to think it is. So that's my prediction is Assange thinks it's a big deal based on logic and facts. In other words, if people were logical and they cared about facts, then whatever WikiLeaks are coming might make a difference. But people are not logical. People don't care about facts. And if it's another complicated little bullshit thing about paperwork or security or who talked to who or who maybe had a promise that wasn't followed through or, just some little tactical bullshit thing, the public just isn't going to care. Snowden movie? I don't know. Could be good. I like that kind of movie. Huh. Well, they're all lying all the time. So if you're saying to yourself, it's important that we found out that Clinton lied about something, it really isn't. That just isn't important because they're both lying all the time about everything. Would Tim Kaine win? No. Because compared to Trump, he's like, what would be the kindest way to say this? Kaine doesn't win in the comparison contest. On the subconscious level. In other words, Trump looks like a better version of a leader than Tim Kaine is. But if you never saw Trump and just said, does Tim Kaine have the credentials or experience or character or whatever to be president, I would say, yeah, probably, because frankly, I don't think it's that hard a job. That's a different conversation. But certainly by the time you're a governor or a senator or most Congress people, you probably have enough going for you to be a good president under the right circumstances. The trouble is that if you put him on stage next to Trump, or even just compare them in your minds, Trump just seems more alpha. And that's going to be the beginning and the end of the question. So the alpha thing, Trump's alpha male vibe is less important running against Clinton because they're not being compared on the same scale, at least in terms of their physicality. But a man against a man, they're always compared on their physicality. So Trump would win that bigly. Pitbull versus a Chihuahua, yeah. You think masculinity still takes it in a contest between a man and a woman? I think not so much in 2016. Yeah, there is a high difference, I think, but I don't know. Are the embedded reporters protecting Hillary? They kind of have to if they want to stay in the pool, right? Not with women voters. Let me ask this question. Is there anyone who thinks that a woman can't be president or shouldn't be president in the United States in 2016? That's not really a thing anymore, is it? At least I hope not. Yeah, no, yes. So there's somebody out here who thinks that that a woman can't be president. Yeah, look at the nose. Oh, just not her, yes. Seriously, there's somebody out here who says no woman for president. What the fuck is wrong with you? Yeah, I mean, certainly the question of whether it's the wrong woman. It was just sort of the same person saying no woman, right? Right, so, me, really? Women in combat's a different question. The threat to men's freedom. All right. So, of course, there's always going to be a troll in a group of 1,000 people. But, yeah, I think the glass ceiling is about as shattered as it could get. In the sense that, let me put it this way. If you were to poll a class of second graders and say to them, hey, second graders, can a woman be president? They would look at you like maybe they didn't understand the question, because it would just be obvious that they can. So if you're in, so pretty much I think the question of the glass ceiling has already been answered. It's, there's no reason that Clinton's gender is going to keep her out of the office. And if anything, it looks like it's an advantage at this point. Can a mentally unstable man be president? Well, let's hope we don't have any choices like that. That was the Eagleton problem, right? Trump might be about the most sane person you know, in the sense that he doesn't drink even. If you had the choice between Trump's personality, which we see now, it's been nearly a month of him acting relatively sane and under control. So even a crazy person can hold it together for a week. But it's pretty hard to hold it together for a full month in front of people and to be improving at it. Because, by the way, today, you saw that Trump's comments on Hillary Clinton's health have been just sort of professional and presidential and polite. Let me get back to Trump studying hypnosis. So, isn't it obvious to you now that when he strategically needs to be wild, he acts that way, as in the primaries? It got him a lot of attention. And when he strategically needs to be more presidential and more subdued, like right now, and in how he handles commenting on Clinton's health, he does it. Not only does he do it, he does it effortlessly. Like, who thought it was hard? Is there anybody on here who remembers back, and I probably started saying it in 2015, but certainly said it more recently. I've said something along the lines of that Trump always had the easiest path to the presidency because Clinton had to erase her actual misdeeds. The lost emails, the policy decisions that didn't work out the way that you wanted them to. And so you can't change what's actually happened. You can't change the past. But all Trump needed to do was stop acting like a crazy racist. Now think about it. Now, of course, this assumes that you're not actually a crazy racist, right? If you are one, probably you can't turn it off too easily. But Trump isn't. But it probably helped him to act a little crazy, and maybe there's some dog whistle stuff going on in the primaries. There's no question about that. But that's just how you win the primaries on that side. And when he needs to be a different person, he just acts like a different person. It is sort of what we demand of our politicians, that they can change personality on demand. And we get worried when they can't, because otherwise it looks like the public can't influence them. So what's the one thing you worry most about Trump? I'll let you think about that, right? Let me just say, what's the one thing you worry most about Trump? And I don't mean a specific policy, but I mean about the man, the person. What do you worry too much about? All right, let's say the other side. Too much winning, his ignorance, is hard-headed, getting assassinated, ignorance. All right, so let's. That's because we're hearing this from a bunch of Trump supporters. I think if it were a bunch of Clinton supporters, they would say he's crazy, he's unstable, he can't, we can't trust him, blah blah blah. But doesn't it totally look like that's not a problem at the moment? I mean, even if a month ago you thought it was a problem, aren't you watching him moderate his behavior right in front of you? But more to the point is why. Why is he moderating his behavior? He's moderating his behavior because the public is asking him to, right? Trump is continually and right in front of your eyes modifying his behavior and even his policies. He did that quick flip on abortion when he mistakenly said maybe the woman getting an illegal abortion should be subject to penalties. And he immediately changed that, both because his side said, wait, no, you got that wrong. And then the other side said, of course, even stronger. So he flipped. 24 hours. Okay. And you watch him do that time after time. His immigration plan went from really, really hard to, well, I'm going to talk hard. But in the end, a few years from now, after we build a wall and ship back to people who are actually criminals, like real criminals, not just the immigration kind of criminal, then we'll think about the people who are here, which is really a big change from his initial responses. So we see him changing according to the public's requirements right in front of our eyes, and frequently. Lots and lots of examples of it, and he's doing it right now. Because you know that the public wanted him to not come after Hillary for a health problem. Right? It wasn't just that he sat there in his lazy boy tweeting away and thought to himself, hey, I think today I will not make fun of Hillary. Some of it I'm sure had to do with just some his own decency, but really he knew the public didn't want it. Okay? And so he gave the public what they wanted. They wanted someone acting presidential in this situation, so that's what he gave them. If he releases his health records, which he said he'll do, that's based on public outcry, right? He said flat out, you got this one letter from my doctor, we're good. But the public wasn't happy. The public kept saying, we want to see both of your health records. So it could be that Clinton is the one not listening to the public right now. We all felt bad for Hillary. I got to say, I felt pretty bad. I actually signed off from my Periscope yesterday because I just felt bad. I abruptly ended because, it's one thing to have fun. I mean, it's a fun election. But that looked like a pretty serious health problem, and that's just not funny. Yeah, the world is right. I'm V-necked again. After the deplorables comment. She looked like a rag doll. Yeah, if you saw, her feet were actually sort of upside down as she was literally dragged into the car. And by the way, no one who's conscious is unaware that they lost a shoe. So you have to figure out, it's a good bet that anybody conscious would have said, hey, my shoe fell off. And then they would have said, oops, grab that shoe. So she must have been so out of it that by the time she got in the car, no one was looking at her, below the waist. They were probably just concentrating on keeping her, awake. By the way, did you see, I think it was Mike Cernovich's Twitter feed when he mentioned how casually her staff handled this? Especially, there was one large male who just before she did the final, looked like she was going to do a face plant, and she was only being held up by one arm. And the other guy just casually walks in, just slips an arm under her armpit. He was a big guy, so he could hold her up, And instead of looking like, oh my God, what fresh hell is this? What completely new situation am I dealing with? He looked like he does this twice a day. Yeah, it looked about as routine to the staff as something could look. There was not one of those people who didn't look like they knew the drill. You know what I mean? I mean, the doctor was literally on her elbow. So if you're traveling with your doctor and your staff is expecting you to collapse, and when you do, they handle it perfectly. And by the way, A+ to the Secret Service, right? You forget about that because you're watching Clinton. But look at the good job that the Secret Service did. Did you see how they closed around her and how they, not only blocked the cameras eventually, but it looked like a pretty professional job to me. You'd have to give them credit. Clinton's next play. So a journalist interviewed me yesterday and asked me that same question. If I were advising Hillary Clinton, what would I tell her? And I told her the same thing, which is there's nothing she can do now. The contest is basically over. She can hope that Trump makes a mistake, but there's nothing she can do at this point. Brazzers. I feel bad that I even got that joke. Drop out of the race. There's no chance she's going to drop out of the race unless her health gets much worse. So you're asking me, is Godzilla still on the case? And let me explain how things work in the real world. When you think about the Clinton campaign, it's easy to think of her sitting around with her 5 closest aides, and they huddle 5 times a day, and they all say their suggestions, and then Hillary Clinton, being the leader, makes her decision. Nothing like that's happening. There's got to be hundreds of people working on this thing, and they're all trying to carve out their little area so that they can put it on their resumes. And just people don't like other people bugging them when they do their job. So if we assume that Clinton had an advisor for the persuasion and psychology stuff, and if that persuader was in particular Robert Cialdini, the only way I can imagine that working is that some members of her staff, but not all, talk to him sometimes, but not all the time. Because probably there's no one who's giving them advice on everything all the time. And so probably you would not necessarily see him consulting on the way she tweets, maybe not necessarily on any speech she gives on any given day, certainly not advising on anything she says off the top of her head. Basket of deplorables. Let me say this with complete confidence. Basket of deplorables did not come from a cognitive, some kind of behavioral psychologist. That was all her. Or, maybe, it actually sounded like something that her staff had said in a meeting, and everybody laughed. And so she thought, hey, everybody's laughing at this basket of deplorables, like it's a funny word, so I'm going to use this. And I think she just didn't realize what happens when you leave the room of your closest advisors and say something about American citizens. And by the way, how wrong-headed do you have to be running for president and to categorize any group of Americans as a bunch of fucking losers? Even if it's true, it's not like there's any American who's under the under the wrong impression that we're all awesome. Like even the best of us got problems, right? No matter how good you are or how much you've done for the world, probably there was that time in your 20s when you did some fucked up stuff, like everybody did, some more than others. But we are a deplorable country. And we were literally the country formed from people who were just trying to get the hell out of other countries, So And I think it's hilarious because if you look at the American character compared to, say, other national characters, deplorable is almost like it's almost our brand. It's as close as you can get to a good description of a typical American. We're all just a little bit deplorable, and I'm not even sure anybody is. I'm not sure anybody even cares about that, right? We don't mind being deplorable if we're also effective. So, if you've got a World War II going on and you need a little help, call us. We're pretty amazing. Oh yeah, we're a little deplorable. So when it comes to dropping a couple of nukes on a country that may or may not have needed 2 nuclear bombs to end the war, no, call us. You need deplorable. We can do that. But it's not the only thing that Americans are, right? We're very effective. We're really good problem solvers. If something needs to get done and it's hard, Americans are a really good bunch to call because we can go pretty deep in the deplorable shit. Like one of the things that Americans generally don't stop because something's too hard or that somebody won't like us. Being deplorable is so part of our national character that it's hilarious that somebody would use that as an insult. So even though the insult isn't very insulting, on some level it's not, because you can see all over Twitter, people have changed their Twitter names to Deplorable Bob and Deplorable Janet, because it just seems funny and cute. They're the adorable deplorables. But as cute as it is, you still can't run for president and call a quarter of the country deplorable. Who the hell gave you that advice? All right. Bin Laden, he knows, he found out how deplorable we were. I mean, if it's true that, his body had 120 rounds in it or whatever the hell it was, at the same time we're giving all credit and respect to our special forces, and I think everybody does respect them. If they put 120, bullets in them when they didn't need to, maybe a little deplorable. But in a good way, you know what I mean? The new Trump ad on the deplorables. So I just watched it before I signed on. I thought the Trump ad, where he mentions Hillary talking about part of the country being deplorable, was simple and just to the point, and I thought effective because it just puts it back in our mind. It could have gone a lot darker, but I think that was just the right tone because it stayed presidential. And it would be easy to go non-presidential with that, right? You could go pretty deep with that, but he decided to stay presidential. Are you kidding? There's somebody on here who doesn't know who I am. What rock have you been hiding under? Anyone worth shooting once is worth shooting multiple times. Is it better to use her own words against her? Well, that's the tradition in these ads, and yes, it probably works. Her staff has pneumonia? She better hope her staff does not have pneumonia, because if they do, then what people are saying about her maybe infecting that little girl is going to sound a lot more convincing. And by the way, if she's been on antibiotics for 2 days since the diagnosis, my understanding, correct me if I'm wrong, is that she's not able to spread it, right? So if she'd been on antibiotics for 2 days before hugging the little girl wasn't in any real danger, was she? But the public just might not look at it that way. You think she doesn't have pneumonia? I've got a feeling that she might have pneumonia, but that's not all. Yeah, aren't there vaccinations for that? How's that work? Oh, I'm way more deplorable than you. Do I date my Periscope viewers? I have a girlfriend. So what's the metal thing? Yeah, so you know that alleged piece of metal that allegedly fell out of Hillary's pant leg? I think that's nothing. It's just something that fell on the ground. I don't think it's necessarily anything important. Depends on the bacteria. Okay, so you could be on antibiotics and still deeply infectious. How many hands has she shaken since she knew she was infected? Could have been lipstick. What's that mean? You want to talk to my girlfriend? She would be far more interesting than me. TB, I doubt it. Vaccines only protect one type of pneumonia. Okay, that makes sense. So I think that if she infected anyone, or if she acted in ways that could have infected other people, it's going to be hard for her to look sympathetic anymore. Yeah, I don't talk about my personal life in any detail on social media. But, except that I have a girlfriend as far as I know. I say as far as I know because if you've ever had a girlfriend, you know that on any given day, sometimes it seems like you do and sometimes it seems like you don't. But I hope I do. She coughs into her hand, not her sleeve. Is my neighbor my girlfriend? I have one girlfriend. Will I parry after the election? Do you mean party? You're volunteering to be my girlfriend? I'll do a live on Periscope. I don't know what that means. So I'm probably less interesting when I'm reading your comments than when I'm talking. Or maybe not. Hello, people. But carry on, dude. You'll miss me after the election? What will I look for in the debates? Well, I'll tell you. I'm not going to be looking for the quality of their answers or the fact-checking, because none of that's going to matter. All that's going to matter is how you feel about them. So if Clinton gets up and goes into her sort of angry tone, I'm not going to say the words that sound sexist. You know, I'm not going to say shrill. I'm not going to say, I don't know, whatever other words sound sexist. But if Trump is more optimistic and upbeat about what he can do, obviously they both have to say some bad things about the other, and Trump will say bad things about how things are in the world and how he can fix them. But if he stays a little bit more positive, she's going to come off as being kind of a negative vibe. And that's going to overwhelm anything that they're saying about policies and that sort of stuff. If Hillary goes into a coughing fit, so somebody has mentioned this before. Let me tell you a story. I heard, and I don't even know if this is true, but I just love this story. The story was that there was a movie being filmed with Ellen Barkin, and why am I forgetting Jack Nicholson? And Jack Nicholson was a big star at the time. So, he was a big enough star that, the director of the movie and people would kind of cater to him. But Ellen Barkin, his co-star, was not. So she was, a lower level star at the time. And I guess I think she tells the story that she got kind of baked during one of the breaks. She was a little bit stoned and couldn't remember her lines. And her lines were done in a car. So Jack Nicholson was in the car with her, and she kept blowing the lines and blowing the lines. And so you know what Jack Nicholson did? He kicked the window out of the car. Now, I don't know if this is true, right? This is just the story. Because it was the only thing that would stop the scene. Because they had to physically fix the car. And he was such a big star that they couldn't say, "Damn it, Jack, don't kick windows out of cars." They just kind of said, "Oh, damn it, kick the window out of a car. I guess we'll have to pick this up tomorrow." So basically he was covering for his co-star. and she appreciated it. So if you imagine the debate and you imagine that Hillary has a coughing attack right in the middle of the debate, what does Trump do? Well, one thing he could do is just nothing, but then he's leaving her up there to twist in the wind. And, probably the network itself will go to commercial or something. So they would probably take care of it. But far more effective would be for Trump to interrupt and say, let's take a 10-minute break, just to take control of the situation. Because if he says, let's take a 10-minute break, that just completely reframes the situation as someone who cares and someone who's in charge and someone who's taking a leadership role and someone who wants to play fair, at least in terms of the debates. So my guess is that Clinton has some kind of a drug they can give her that guarantees she's not going to have a coughing attack for any 2-hour period, but maybe not something she can take all the time. So I think she's not going to have a coughing attack during a debate, because I think they'll maximize whatever medical treatment is or whatever drugs they can give her for that 2-hour period, and I'm sure they're good at it. It's only if you're going to be out in the stump all day that there's probably a problem. Freezes up. I don't think she's going to freeze up. Earpiece. No, the earpiece was just a fake out. There's no earpiece. Trump's foundation, probably not a good idea, just because it says foundation in it. It makes people think of hers. Yeah, I think she'll just be a robot up there. She'll just go into her set pieces and she'll be unflappable. If I had to predict, I would say she'll have no health concerns that are evident during the debates. My guess is that for a 2-hour period, something that important, she'll be drugged up, she'll be at her best energy, best ability to fake it if she needs to. You believe there's an earpiece? Yeah, I don't think there is. Cernovich interview with Hillary? Does he have one? Do you think it was 9/11 that caused it? Not directly. Could she try to get out of the debates? She could try, but I would think that's the same as losing a debate. Too many questions. You think Biden will get the nod? I don't think so. Oh, it's sort of just a puppet. No, I didn't see that. I'd like to see that. I think Tim Kaine doesn't have a chance in a debate against Trump, or a chance of beating him. I praise the Secret Service for what Trump lacks. I don't know what that means. Discipline? I don't think Biden would take it, no. I think he would. I think Biden would push for Tim Kaine or somebody. Trump on Dr. Oz is the White House wife vote. You're correct. Clapping like a seal. Yeah. I think it's too late for Bernie. I think that boat sailed. Well, if Trump really releases his medical records, and if they really seem complete, which seems unlikely, don't you think it's going to be some kind of a summary? I think he has to release enough that he can say he released his complete medical details. But it's unlikely it will be complete in the way that the public or the media will think complete looks like. And that'll even be better, because people will just be talking endlessly about why his should be a little more complete, but it will put the focus on the fact that he released something at all. You perv? Yeah, the media was shocked that Trump acted presidential and didn't say something bad about Clinton's health problem, which again made it the right play, right? News, the old saying in news is, if a dog bites a man, it's not news, but if a man bites a dog, it's news. Yeah. There's a contest to win coffee with Ivanka. You should enter. I actually thought about that. They'll just say you should release tax returns too. I think he can stall on the tax returns forever, and he'll be fine. Because you know what he has to do? I mean, the answer that I would give, he's been giving the answer that the IRS is looking at it. Here's the answer I would give: is like, who would you trust to look at my taxes? The mainstream media, or the IRS? Because right now the IRS is looking at it. Who's going to have the better opinion about whether my taxes are appropriate? The people who are looking at it right now, or a bunch of people in the media? Yeah, he did take the high ground. Morning. Fucking bald. I don't know if that's me or him. If you want to get started in hypnosis, find a class near you. I can't recommend any. Is hotels opening today? Good Lord, just all the luck is on Trump's side. All right, I'm going to go work. That's enough of this. It's back to work, all of you. Thanks for listening.